Chapter 22. The number 6, continued. The sixth group of the Dhyanis remains almost inseparable from man, who draws from it all but his highest and lowest principles, or his spirit and body, the 5 middle human principles being the very essence of those Dhyanis, the secret doctrine, Blavatsky. Hence it is that the elementals of the 4 elements or nature forces emanating from the sixth group each appear to man's inner sight bearing the imprint of the number 6 as the seal or signature of their group, just as man's body bears number 5 as the signature of the group by which it was fashioned. The figure 6 borne by the earth elementals or gnomes is small, short, squat, very thick and black. Thus, that borne by the water elementals, or undines, is larger, taller, and in double outline instead of solid. Thus, borne by the air elementals, or sylphs, is very tall and slender with wavy double outlines. Thus, while that borne by the fire elementals, or salamanders, as seen in a flame, is composed of many vibrating ethereal lines having a curl or hook at the bottom. Thus, it must be understood that just as man's body suggests the 5-pointed star and hence number 5, so do the bodies of the nature sprites suggest the number 6, for number 6 dominates them in their structure, even more completely than number 5 dominates man in his 5 extremities, 5 fingers, 5 toes, 5 senses, etc. Also, if we take the product of these 4 kingdoms of nature, we still have 6. Thus, 4x6 equals 24 equals 6. This is another proof that 6 is the number of nature, for it is through the activities of the elementals of those 4 great kingdoms that the Christ force is evolving nature toward perfection. It is this incessant activity, labor, and change of form that connects number 6 with suffering and woe such as befell at the opening of the 6th seal of the Book of Life, also at the sounding of the 6th angel, the pouring out of the 6th vial, and the 6 periods of war with the beast. The geometrical symbol of number 6 is the interlaced triangles, or the 6-pointed star, called by the Hindus the sign of Vishnu, and by the Hebrews the shield of David, often miscalled the seal of Solomon. Among the Egyptians it was the symbol of generation, the union of fire and water, the male and female. Among the Pythagoreans it was called the hexad, or the perfection of parts, and with them was also a symbol of creation. The Neo-Pythagorean philosopher Nicomachus called it the form of forms, the only number adapted to the soul, the distinct union of the parts of the universe, the fabricator of the soul, and also harmony. The interlaced triangles symbolize the triune God reflected by his creations, or God in man and nature. The Trinity of nature is the lock, the Trinity of man is the key that fits it. For it also symbolizes the 6 creative groups, the 6 powers of nature, the 6 planes of consciousness and of evolution, and the 6 principles of man, all of which are synthesized in a 7th. Since man is a microcosm, the interlaced triangles, or number 6, must ever manifest in him. The Kabbalists call it the Supreme Triangle and its reflection. The Supreme Triangle, they said, was composed of necessity, liberty, and reason, referring reason to Kether, necessity to Chakma, and liberty to Bina. The triangle reflected in man they designated fatality, will, and power. Fatality is the inevitable sequence of effects and causes in a determined order. Will is the directing faculty of intelligent forces for the conciliation of the liberty of persons with the necessity of things. Power is the wise application of will which enlists fatality itself in the accomplishment of the desires of the sage. The A pointing upward symbolizes Shiva, fire, light, and heavenly powers, also the divine trinity or upper triad in man, ever evolving upward after its incarnation in matter, seeking more perfect expression, the source of aspiration in man. The two lines of force, law and will, descending from the focus above, apex, and spreading out to include the baseline, indicate that man is overshadowed by and included within the divine. Also that he can receive the positive and negative forces from above and correlate, unite, them on the physical plane or baseline. The upward pointing triangle also symbolizes the stability and poise which man can attain when he looks to the divine trinity within. The downward pointing triangle dark, symbolizing the waters of chaos in which the divine germ, Vishnu, and the hosts of the lower worlds, is laid, also the instability of man's lower nature, unstable as water. This triangle symbolizes that the two ascending lines of force can ascend from their focus, apex on earth, and reach up to and embrace the divine. The interlaced triangles therefore symbolize the reflection of the divine completed and man assuming his responsibility. For only by the perfect blending and balancing of the two natures, human and divine, can man attain wisdom and perfection. In other words, man can attain wisdom only as he can correlate his consciousness with both the realm of the divine and with the realm of nature, whose symbol is 6. According to the Kabbalah, the first trinity is called the macroprosopis and the second trinity, making up the 6, the microprosopis, the two constituting the vast and the lesser countenances. The macroprosopis is all brilliancy and dazzling light, while the microprosopis or lesser countenance shines only by reflected light. Thus must the two triangles, the light and its reflection, be interlaced to form the 6-pointed star, the symbol of the macrocosm. The 6 days of creation correspond to the 6 forms of the microprosopis. The 6th Sephira is called Tifereth, beauty or mildness, the divine name Eloah V'Adath, and the angelic name Shinanim and Melachim. This 6th Sephira completes the two trinities, the first, the divine Father, Mother, Son, the second, power, greatness, fortitude, also strength, beauty, clemency. Being the reflection of the Godhead on earth, these are magic forces which manifest through the interlaced triangles. In short, the divine reality back of this mighty symbol is that when the God attributes are not only reflected but interlaced and balanced in man's life, he becomes a mighty magician and all the forces within himself and nature must obey him. While this symbol has a certain power in itself, its full potency is manifested only when its dual forces are interblended and used to bring forth the Christ-man in the life. The early Christian Church gave a somewhat different meaning to the symbol. God, considered as the Father, has nature for his daughter, considered as Son, has the Virgin for his mother and the Church for his bride, considered as the Mother or Holy Ghost he regenerates and redeems humanity. These attributes are assigned to the various points as follows. By some authors 6 is called the number of cooperation, marriage, reciprocal action, counterpoise, psychology, divination, telepathy, psychometry, and alchemy, all of which are based upon its primary significance as the number of the Christ force, the informing principle of the soul, pushing through nature and man to perfection in number 7, Superman. The Druids held the number 6 in deep reverence and many of their sacred ceremonies were based upon it. They began their year upon the 6th day of the full moon, and the 6 days within the full moon, 3 before and 3 after, were held especially sacred. Also, when the sacred mistletoe was cut, 6 priests performed the ceremony. An astronomical period of 600 years was held in reverence and is often referred to in the mysteries. It consisted of 31 periods of 19 years each and 1 period of 11 years. This cycle was known to the ancient Chaldeans, who declared it the most perfect of all astronomical periods. For instance, it was held that if on a certain day at high noon a new moon appeared at a designated place in the heavens, it would appear again at the expiration of 600 years in precisely the same place and relations, with all the planets in the same positions. The Egyptians, like the Druids, had 6 high priests, and a certain Aseshra is mentioned as the mother of the mysterious words of 6. Also, a statue of Emanate has been found on which is carved the title, Chief of the Dwelling of the Great Six. Among the ancient Semites on Saturn's day, Saturday, 6 priests clothed in black ministered to the god Saturn in a 6-sided temple, the walls of which were hung with black. By some, Saturn is considered as sinister, but the above incident only proves that the priests had a deep understanding of the esoteric position of Saturn as the great initiator. For esoterically, black symbolizes that which is unmanifested and not, as vulgarly supposed, because Saturn was farthest from the sun, that which is cold, dark, evil, and the bringer of malign influences. Saturn as Lucifer is the unmanifested falling from heaven into manifestation, but the star of the morning as he rises, through perfected and tested evolution, to his heavenly home. Saturn is therefore often referred to as the hidden god with 2 faces, one white and one black. Number 6 is magically related to the circumference of the circle, which contains 6 by 60 degrees, each containing 60 minutes of 60 seconds each. Let number 6 remind you of the upspringing power of nature, of the universal urge toward perfection which is inherent in the soul of all things, of the power of the Christ force working in you toward more and more perfect expression through you. Let it ever remind you that the divine Trinity is reflected within you, but that the lower triangle must be lifted up until it balances the upper and forms the exa, your life interlaced with the divine. Also, that by the power of the Christ within you must unfold the 6-sided cube and balance the cross.